Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome to the channel, Idiot RC. Today we are driving the Boom Racing Aggressor. These are a 1.9 by 4.75 inch crawler tire from Boom Racing, measuring about 1.75 inches wide. And these are in their black compound, the black Gekko I believe they call it, or Gekko compound. And they have a red, which is the soft, and they have a black, which is the super soft. These are being run on the inserts that come with a tire, which is a decent dual stage foam. So something that you don't get to see a lot from some of our manufacturers is a tire coming with a decent foam from the factory. But these actually do. And they are mounted on some pretty cool Boom Racing Pro Build wheels. These are like, they have a clear center to them. Not extremely practical, more realistic. That was driver error. That was me trying to think and talk rather than just driving. So, not anything incredibly practical, not anything realistic, but it's a cool looking wheel. Here's a decent test that we figured out when we tested the Chanmu is very loose surface dirt. How can we get up here? The Chanmus did awful. How are the Boom Racing Aggressors at loose surface dirt? They're okay. If we can pull, we're hooked, my slider, there we go. That's pretty good. The slider was hooked on a stick there. Those actually did pretty well on the loose surface. Boom Racing is not necessarily a company that's greatly known for putting awesome tires out there. They have the Hustler, which is quite frankly a terrible tire. But we'll see how the Aggressor does. It's got a pretty unique, interesting looking tread pattern. But these are $30 a pair. Now they do come with the dual stage foam, so depending on how that foam does, we can decide whether that $30 a pair is kind of a good or a bad value, obviously depending on how the tire does as well. A lot of times you're paying close to $30 a pair of tires, and to really get the best performance, you have to replace the foams with something like a crawler innovations or a 3D printed insert or a crazy crawler or something homemade, something dual stage is usually what we're after. But these come with a dual stage foam. We'll see if it's any good. This obstacle here is kind of a sidewalling control obstacle. So what we're wanting to do is test the ability of the tire to hold in a side hill. And we rolled out. Now I did get a little bit low on the obstacle there, but a tire with a good sidewall usually doesn't roll out there. I might need to set down the camera though and focus a little more on my driving to go through this. I'm gonna try that. Let me find a good spot to put this camera to watch this obstacle. I'm not gonna shoot coming back onto the rocks. We've already done that. That'll give me both hands to drive. Right now I'm going over that loose gravel spot again. I got my body hooked. The body came out of the slider and now it's hooked on the rock there. So that same area right there where we have that loose dirt, where these kind of went up the first time and the Chanmu struggled, it is going to present a challenge of getting more difficult every time a rig goes up there because it's digging out further. So I don't know that I'm going to be using this as a fair test because already it's getting dug out quickly. However, these made it up there. So far, my impression on loose dirt is that this is a good loose dirt tire, which, you know, with the aggressiveness of the tread, really should be no surprise. It's not a scale tire, but it's a very good board. Guys, my driving right now is not good. I'm rolling this thing over and over again. Now, is that my driving, or is the sidewall on this, even with that dual stage foam, just not good? Anyway, with the tread pattern on this, I expect that it should perform well in trail-like scenarios on dirt and mud and hopefully loose rock like gravel. But we shall see how it performs in pure rock crawling. Now, something that I am seeing, ooh, that's a lot of side slide. These tires and side hilling are not friendly. Now, that sidewall, even with that dual stage foam, I can see that sidewall on that front driver tire collapsing. But really the big issue is these just slide sideways. That tread does not like to side hill at all. It's not all foam. The foam is doing a decent job. It's collapsing a little bit more than I would like to see a dual stage foam collapse, but it's not bad. In a different tire, I think it would be okay. But these, I mean, look at my wheels are turned all the way up, and it won't change direction. That's gonna roll out. All right, he's rolled halfway down the hill. That's not good. These are not a good side hill tire, and I think it's the tread pattern. I don't think it's the foam. I don't think it's the insert. I mean, I have plenty of tires that can do this obstacle on a single stage open cell foam, you know, the foam that most tires come with. Now, some of those foams tend to be pretty stiff, but a lot of them, you know, your Pro Lines and stuff come with a very soft foam, and those can do this fine. I think what we've got going on here is a combination of the tread pattern simply doesn't like side hilling, but I think also we've got the compound of the tire is actually very soft, and those lugs are just smushing down. Now, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to try to take it a little bit higher and a little more of an angle, so it's going to be less of extreme of a side hill, but hopefully we can at least do this. I really hate to fail the first obstacle, but it's failing. Like, even this is not good. It's might look like it's doing it on camera, but this should be a much I should be able to go over to the side of the rock a lot more. I should be able to reposition a lot easier. It's just not doing that good. I can see now that rear passenger tire is just, I mean, I'm barely side hilling at this point. I'm more or less driving straight up, which is doing a really good job at that. But that tire smushes down, and that is going to be partially foam, but I really think that with the extreme soft compound of this tire, the super soft as they call it, that tread is just smushing down a lot and not loving side hill. So we've got a few more things coming up on the course that will test side hill performance, but from what I can tell right now, these tires don't like side hilling. That's going to be a major. So we just rolled out getting off of the obstacle, and again, it's that, as I was coming off, that front driver tire smushed down and just rolled it out. I suppose something we might try at some point is running with a 3D insert. But you know, the feel of these foams is good. They don't offer a ton of sidewall support. It is two open cell foams stacked together, serving as a dual stage. So it's like a soft and a firm, or maybe more like a soft and a extra medium, I would call it. The firm one's not overly firm. So it's not a dual stage like you get with a crawler innervations or anything like that. It doesn't have a good, nice, you know, closed cell foam inner. inner foam, I mean. But they are dual stage, but they do not appear to be maybe what this guy wants, or alternatively, what it needs. We're going to go down over here and get to our second position. I need to remember to pause video when I'm changing positions so you guys don't have to watch me walking around. Again, if this is the first video you're watching, I'm very new to this whole thing. This is all new to me, the YouTube thing, making videos and stuff. And so I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, recording videos and talking and driving one-handed and thinking about lines and thinking what obstacle comes next and trying to think of where I should stand and where I should position the camera, and trying to be aware that until I get a lapel mic, I need to stay close to the camera and try to not look away from it even, so that you can hear my voice. So there's a lot to think about here. I said this in one of my other videos, but if you've never made a YouTube video, and I'm not even recording the truck, if you've never made a YouTube video, and when you watch content, maybe sometimes you get a little judgmental of it, try to make a YouTube video. I think it'll give you a new respect for what these content creators are doing. I don't really know that I would consider myself a content creator, especially not at this point. And I don't know if I ever will, because this is not going to be a job. This is me just sharing my hobby with people. But I tell you, I'm doing this all on my cell phone, nothing fancy. And there's a lot more to this making videos thing than you might assume. Okay, our second real obstacle here. There's two lines that you can take on this one. The first one is kind of our default line here, where we go up on this rock, and kind of didn't get up there all the way. It started to, and then the forward drive outweighed the steering capabilities and kind of pushed past it. But that's pretty good. Now, can we get this without hooking the edge? Lesser tires, you can come over here and hook the edge and get up, but these have kind of the drive to get up there. Now what we have to do is get off the rocks. Just about fell over. My front links are hung, and this happens when you have, basically if you have anything that's a millimeter smaller. Ooh, that was driver error there. Gave it a little too much throttle. I'm gonna see if I can come off there without rolling out, but yeah. All right, we'll take that as a pass, but I'm gonna do it again. I'm caught on something. Okay, we're gonna do that obstacle again, but we'll take that as a pass. I think I need to not wait. I need to go ahead and get a lapel mic. It's challenging for me to try to remain right next to the camera, and honestly try to be crouched next to the camera so that you can hear me and I can drive. So I'm gonna order a lapel mic after I finish this video, so that in my upcoming ones that's a little easier. So again, there's multiple ways to take this. There's two ways to get on the obstacle, which one is kind of coming up this way, although I didn't take a wide enough turn and now I'm having trouble getting the line I want. So let's try to take the hard way. This way goes along the side, and it's a very steep entry with no traction below. My tires are on a very slick rock there at the bottom, the rear tires are, and the bumper is sitting on the ground. But if we can get up this a little, we can hook our, yep, there we go. We can hook our driver tire over here and pull ourselves up that way. Up and over. So that's a double pass. It wasn't pretty, mostly because of me, my driving. But that took the easy line and the hard line, so that's pretty good. What those lines require, especially the hard line, is a tire with good forward drive and usually fairly good side lug, because for that steeper incline there on the edge, what you're doing is you're hooking your tire over the edge and using your side lug to help pull it up. Now we can get around here. And what we're going to want to do here is that rock with the sharp ridge on it on the right, where the passenger tire is approaching, we want to get our passenger tire on there and follow it until we can hook our driver tire on the other side. And then we want to be able to position enough to get up and over without the rig overdriving, which we did. And when I say overdriving, what I really mean is I don't want the rear to outpush the front on stuff like that. And sometimes when you get tires that have a lot of forward drive, the rear can kind of outpush your front's ability to steer. And even in situations, this truck has 26% overdrive, or actually it's underdrive, but this rig has 26% underdrive, and that's still possible with tires that have a lot of forward grip. It's kind of just a downside of tires that have that. It's still a desirable, I'll take forward drive over not having forward drive, but optimally a tire, spout fell. Optimally, a tire may be able to maintain that balance of having a good amount of forward drive, but not having such an excessive amount that it doesn't have the ability to steer. I am going to pause and reposition myself. All right, now I'm going to come off this obstacle and come to my next. Truck should be coming into view for you any second. Now this obstacle here, the last tire that we reviewed was the Amazon Special, the Chanmu rock terrain tire, and it failed on this obstacle. And it shouldn't have. No tire should fail this obstacle. It's a pretty easy obstacle to get onto. It's barely worth even calling an obstacle. It's just kind of on our way to the next obstacle. But what bad tires do is have trouble getting up on it. And now I have said all that, and I am having trouble getting, there we go. So the trick to this is you have to get both your front and rear tires to hook their lugs on the corner of that rock. We've got about a 2.5 to 3 inch differentiation between the ground and the lip of that rock, and the rock underneath is very loose, and so there's not a lot of ground to push against, so it really needs to be able to hook that edge and pull it up. But again, that's what any decent tire should be able to do. So when we see tires fail that obstacle, that's not a good sign. I'm glad we didn't see the Aggressor fail, but again, now on this side hill part, which is a pretty moderate side hill, it is just sliding down. It's sliding down sideways. Every inch I move forward, it slides down about the same amount sideways. So again, side hilling is not a strong suit with these tires, and what that section just proved to me with the side hill was that's not foam, that's just the tire. I think it's a combination of the tread pattern and possibly the compound. I wouldn't, honestly, at this point in my testing, I wouldn't hate testing these in the red compound to see if they do better in side hill situations. All right, I'm going to stop talking and reposition and figure out where my next obstacle is going to be. When I get to this point in the course, I have several options, and I want to figure out where I'm going to go. All right, we're just going to come up here, and we're going to try. There's 2 lines here. I could cut in right here and go up and around, or I can take this outside corner and come around the outside. Now this is a lot harder because this is uneven and these rocks are loose. They're not packed in. And on a rig that doesn't side hill well, We'll see. Also, I'm driving this one-handed. Oh, and my steering knob on my controller doesn't, or my transmitter doesn't quite have the range for my thumb. I'm in a bad position here because I'm going to roll out. What I need to do is settle. There we go. That lower tire, that passenger front tire, is a little lower than I'd like it to be. But if I can hook it, there we go, use that side lug. Okay, it took the hard line. Well, I don't speak too soon, but yeah, we took the hard line. Okay. And guys, when I say hard line, I don't mean that in the, term that guys who do comps and stuff mean. As I've said before, there's no extremely difficult lines out here. I mean, this is basically an Element trail walker with some decent mods to it, but it's still a factory chassis, full body, straight axle rig. There's not a line out here. Well, there's not a line out here that I'm gonna drive on the tire testing videos that this rig can't take. And so they're not extremely difficult lines, but they are lines. And they do a good job of giving us a baseline. How's that? Not great. I need, ooh, there we go. How's that? Yeah. All right, so this guy, I think this is going to be a problem because what we have to do is transition to the second rock, but then there's two exits. Well, I could come straight down and exit, but what I want to do is turn to driver's side and exit on a side hill, which is the Achilles heel of this tire so far. Oh, now if I get that rear to do what I want it to do, if the rear would slip down without the front sliding, so we've gone a bit further down the face of the rock than I would like. What's going to happen is the front of the truck is going to impact before the tire can, and it's going to get me stuck. So what I'm going to try to do is pull a reverse and reposition on the side hill. Okay, if we can do this now, we've got an elevation change and another elevate. Oh, come on. Use that side lug. Ugh, scratching up these beautiful wheels. These beautiful, stupid clear wheels. There we go. Okay, that's a pass. So far, the Aggressor, well, I was going to say it hasn't failed an obstacle. It's getting a half pass on the first obstacle. It's kind of a pass, kind of a fail. It didn't do that good side hilling, but it did complete the obstacle in a sense. But definitely side hilling is not something that I like with this tire. Every time I come to a side hill, I get nervous. So we got to go up here. This just mostly requires forward drive. A little more lug noise than I would think you would have on a soft tire, but there we go. All right, now time to reposition. Okay, this next obstacle can be a little bit tricky, but isn't overly difficult. The Chanmu was not even able to get on this obstacle. The daily driver of this truck, which, by the way, is lovingly named Tire Rack. The daily driver tire is a Duratrax Fossil. And the Duratrax Fossil can complete all the obstacles on this course. But only just so. It doesn't do them all with no issue. Do you know what? I think something has changed with this obstacle. I believe that rock that is behind my rear tire has moved, and that's how I'm usually able to get up here. I might have to give the Chanmus another chance here because I'm about to... I'm trying to remember right now if I'm right or wrong in that. Am I trying to cope or am I right? if I can bump up, and then I'm pretty sure... Oh. Oh, of course. Okay, I could see on the ground where that rock had previously been. There was a lot of snow in the area a couple weeks ago. And like I talked about in one of the other videos, this terrain is subject to change. So the Chanmu failed this obstacle, which honestly led it to having 3 additional failures because it couldn't do anything after this obstacle. But it wasn't a fair test because this rock wasn't there. So I am going to give the Chanmu another chance at some point, because what I want to do is modify it and see if we can make it better. And I'm pretty sure I didn't even use the rock to get up with these. That's a pass. What I was saying earlier was the Duratrax fossils can do this entire course without taking bypasses. I'm not going to say 100% of the time. I mean, you know, as with anything, driver error factors in. But my overall goal is for a tire to perform at least as well as a Duratrax fossil. And if it does, then I will usually say, yeah, I would probably recommend this tire. Ooh. We gave it a free reset because my driving got it in that situation. So this is not usually where I stand to drive this line. I'm going to have to figure this out because this is where you get the good camera angle, but this is not where I get a good angle on the rig. So this is where having a lapel mic would really help. And what I might have to do until I get one is just shut up sometimes and go move to where I can see better. Oh, shit. So the issue here, now I've got rear axle hung up. It's gonna fall out. I think I didn't take the line high enough, because what I need to do is take this straight over, but it's on a side hill. We're going to do one more chance. Oops. Get off that. So you can see there's an elevation difference in the rocks. There we go. There we go. I think now the rear's sliding out more. I didn't want the rear to slide out there. So, if I can't reposition this, if it falls off, or if I have to touch it to reposition it, it's going to fill this part of the obstacle. Reverses, we take as many reverses as we want within reason. The comparison against the hustlers is not necessarily, like, it's not comp rules. I'm not going for time. Oh, it didn't do it as quickly as the hustler. But this certainly is not doing it as clean as the, I'm saying hustler. That's Boom Racing shitty tire, as the fossil. That certainly wasn't clean, but it made it. I believe I need to review that obstacle. I need to put the fossils back on here. I haven't had them on in a while because I've been trying to make it a bunch of videos to start uploading, but I kind of wonder if right here on that obstacle, I think this rock broke. I can't remember. I know I've got some old footage I need to review. This is the problem with crawling public land, especially in Kansas, is throughout the winter. This is the first time I've been out here in 3 months, I think. And, you know, I'm on public land. This area, there's not a lot of people that come down here, but people can come down here. I'm at a lake, there's weather, this is sandstone, things change. And if I'm here at least frequently, the changes don't really throw me. But if it's been a long time, I can really get thrown off by things changing because I don't exactly remember how the obstacle is supposed to be. And I wouldn't say it's a problem just for driving, but it's going to be a problem for me being able to be consistent with testing tires. And so I need to kind of figure a couple things out with that. All right. Okay, we got through phase 2 of that obstacle without issues. Here comes phase 3. These are the ones that the Chanmu tires did not get an opportunity to do because they had to take the bypass because they couldn't even get on that first obstacle. And like I said, I need to give them another chance. I know that rock moved. I'm 100% certain of that. Although, after I moved it, I was able to get on the obstacle both times with the Aggressor without using that rock. So there's still something to be said. There's a pass on number 3, which number 3 is really a capability, or testing the capability of the tire to descend and hold, and it's a technical line more than it is a difficult line. Now, line 4 is a side hill descent, which again does test some side hilling, but I have control over how much side hill I want to go on. I'm not going to take the steep side hill because we already know that side hilling is going to be a problem. And we're just going to test. Oop, they slide. So this is going to be interesting. With the lug shape of this tire being so chevroned, it has good forward drive, but I don't know that it has a lot of hold if I'm going downhill. All right. So far, no complete failures. Again, on the first obstacle, we're going to give it half credit. But this part of the course is where things really start getting more challenging. Okay, we got up. Now, can this tire do the thing? Go up. Nope, don't get hooked. What we're trying to do is get up on here. There we go. Oh, almost. So we have a lot of slip back when we're ascending, which is something you see on chevron tires pretty frequently. Is there's a gap in its forward drive, and when you're going up a steep incline, that gap is pronounced. So what we need to try to do, there we go. Oh, a lot of slide back. So the surface of this rock is very uneven. It's got a lot of divots in it, and every one of those divots I hit, it's sliding back. And what we normally need to do is get on and then go over and hook our tire on the edge. But I don't know if we're going to be able to get there because I can't side hill over there like I tried to do with the Chanmu. And I'm not seeing the forward drive to just drive up it. We'll try wheel speed. If I can get a good angle again, we'll try some wheel speed. And then we're getting close to calling this one a failure. Now this, I would say this is the first obstacle that is one of the more challenging obstacles. Because it's not as grippy as the other steep incline that we did earlier. And it's longer. It's more technical. There's a lot more working against you. But it does not look like the Aggressor is going to be able to do it. So, there's a fail. Let's take the bypass. Ooh, my rear bumper. We're going to give the bypass another shot. That was a mechanical hang-up. So they advertise this tire as 4.75 inches tall, but I'm gonna call no on that. I don't believe this is 4.75. What am I getting hung up on? Also, the problem with crawling in terrain like this is you get a lot of mechanical hang-ups. Axles, pumpkins, and stuff get hung up on a lot of stuff on the ground. All right, I really feel like this tire should be able to do this. Once we get on there. Again, I really kind of should probably need to hold off on testing too many more tires until I get the shock bands put back on this truck. Because when I chose the lines for this course using the fossils, the truck had shock bands on it on the front, which help a lot with ascending. Alright, well, this is going to be a complete obstacle failure if I can't get the bypass line this time, which this bypass line is difficult. This is not an easy bypass line. The problem is there's not an easy way off this obstacle without just not doing it. So, because we fall down in there. Nope. Come on. Nope. Nothing's going the way I want. Okay. That is a complete failure. So we have just seen the first real failure of the Aggressor. And as I was saying, with shock bands, the thing is that the Duratrax can still do it without the shock bands. I've done that line plenty of times without shock bands. So the fossils can do it without shock bands. This truck can do it without shock bands. Shock bands do just make it a lot easier. This line, got to stay over. Ooh, no, drop it back down. Come on. There you go. Don't go up the side, just go on the side. There we go. Pull. Now we get hung on the rear links. So we got to be able to pull it. There we go. There's a pass. If you remember, the Chanmu tires could not do that at all. Okay, and I think I found a much better place to record this obstacle from. It's a little less safe for me, but it's not too bad. And that won't be a problem once I get a different mic. Alright, up on the obstacle we go. Now, kind of phase one of this guy is getting up to the obstacle. It's kind of an obstacle in and of itself. But really what we should be able to do is pull onto here and just drive up. Now, that chevron, it's got the forward drive, but it has an equal amount of slip. I'm pretty sure this tire would get it and then once it gets to that lower edge, the rear tire has too much collapse to be able to hold it because it could use a firmer foam. The tires are just so soft. I kind of want to get another set of these in red compound and run them exactly the same before I make any changes to the truck, before I put the shock bands back on. Or at the very least, I'll take them off if I get those tires and test them. But I kind of want to see how red performs versus black. Because I almost feel like the black is too soft. And this is prime time for super soft compounds. I mean, I've said before, here in Kansas, we don't typically have a lot of, like, I don't typically run Proline Predators very much because we don't have a lot of predator weather. Our season where it's comfortable to go crawling but not hot is pretty short, so I run typically G8s. I kind of think though that right now predator weather is where we're at. We're 55 degrees ambient temperature. The surface of the rocks is 55 degrees according to an infrared thermometer. So super soft compounds, if it's a good compound, they should be working right now. But we've got a lot of things working against us with the Aggressor. That lug shape is not doing us any favors in steep climbs. And I think the inserts need to be a little more firm for the soft compound, but look at all that slip back. Like, I mean, we can't even get up because every millimeter that we move forward, we just slide back. This is going to be the last try. Once we fall, we're either making it or we fall. If we fall again, that's a fail. I kind of feel like if I can get over this initial, the entry to this, there's Phil. The entry to this obstacle is tough because it's very steep and you're transitioning from surfaces and there's a lot of unevenness in the rock. But good tires can do that. So we'll come up the bypass here. Stick. Oh wait, that's the wrong line. It's backwards from where I'm normally standing. There we go. All right. Got through the bypass. So that's 2 failures. Oh, maybe don't shove the front of the truck into the rock, idiot. Let me tell you, there is no substitute for a good tire, and these are not that good of a tire. Ooh, just hit the camera. Hang on. The Aggressor is an interesting tire. It shows hints of, oh, it's because I have narrower hubs on these wheels. I don't have the track width that I normally have. Let me concentrate. There we go. That was more of a track width issue than anything. I forgot the hubs on these really cool wheels are quite a bit narrower. I've lost about 6 millimeters track width. And that impacts an obstacle that is chosen based off of the track width of the vehicle. But the Aggressor is an interesting tire because it shows promise in some areas. And I want to give it extra credit just because my other experience with Boom Racing tires is that they're not good. Ooh, okay, we got to get to the top of this obstacle. And it takes a little bit of wheel speed. Ooh, come on. Might need to put down the camera. I'm having trouble. So I don't have big hands. And I'm just using this big zip tie as my thumb steer. And it's fine most of the time, but can I even rock it? Man, I'm caught on that slider, or on that link. Just pivoting on the links. Come on, asshole. Mechanical hangups are one of those things that it's sometimes hard to hold against a tire, but then when you've seen other tires pull it through mechanical hangup, you just kind of have to wonder. And now, yeah, these... Ooh. Right, that was a heck of a rollout. But when you've seen a tire get pulled through, or when you've seen other tires pull a vehicle through mechanical hangups, it makes you wonder. And then when we see struggles like this is not typically an obstacle that's difficult to get on, but see, it has trouble getting on. And then we hit the second part of it, and the rear, I need to put the camera down. The rear of the vehicle won't push up. It's just going to roll out. Just gonna roll out. There we go. Saved it. There we go. Okay, well, I'm gonna call that a pass. And the reason I'm gonna call that a pass is A, it technically did it, but B, that could have been some driver error. I might have been going at that too aggressively. You know, some tires you go at some more aggressively than you do with others. Some tires need the aggression, some can't handle the aggression, and some are a little bit indifferent. Last obstacle is the gravel hill climb. See how it does. Right now we're about 40% throttle. Progress has stopped. Okay, we're gonna go full throttle. Oop, got a hook there I didn't necessarily want. All right, that's pass. So, Boom Racing Aggressors. Should you buy them? What are they meant for? Well, they make me curious. I want to try the red compound, and I want to try some stuff with inserts and run them again. As of right now, we failed 2 obstacles. I will usually say you can fail 3. Ooh, that front tire got some wobble. I will usually say you can fail 3. Although, again, you shouldn't fail any. But I've got to leave room for driver error and different things that are not necessarily the fault of the tire. But should you buy the Boom Racing Aggressor? Who's it meant for? And how did it do? Well, as you can see from the tread pattern, it's an aggressive tire that you would think would be good in mud and loose surfaces, and it did pretty well on the loose surfaces. We didn't really have any major issues with loose surface traction, and it did okay. Now on the rocks, it does pretty good. There's some interesting problems with forward drive that I don't know if we're going to be able to overcome with inserts or anything else. Now, an interesting thing is on the sidewall, they have marked rotation 2 different ways. So if you can see here on this outer sidewall, that says traction. And so technically I'm running this tire backwards according to that error. However, if you look on the other side of the tire, that's reversed. So I don't know if that means that they just kind of, when they did the mold for the tire, if they just messed that up, or if these tires are meant to be run in multiple directions, or what the deal is. All the Boom Racing images I see have it mounted in this direction, so we might try them in reverse. Here's a mini review of these Pro Build wheels. That is cracked. That one's not cracked. that is cracked, and that is cracked. So I do not recommend that you buy the clear Pro Build wheels. I will be ordering different faces for these wheels, apparently. I ordered the clear faces because I had some extra parts and I thought they were kind of neat. But obviously the acrylic cannot hold up to what aluminum can hold up to, and that was the first run of these wheels. These wheels have never been run before. Actually, these tires have never been run before. And they are cracked. So don't buy the... Ooh, that's cracked. I guess it's not, but they're cracked. So I wouldn't buy the clear wheels either. And as far as the Aggressors go, I wouldn't buy them over a lot of other tires. If you really, really, really like the look of them, then they're a cool tire. They're a cool looking tire. They'll do decent. I think there's some things that you can do to make them a little bit better. I think I'm going to buy the red compound. I'm interested enough in seeing what the difference between the red and the black compound is. I think I'll order a set of reds, and then I want to mess around with inserts because I want to see if I can make these side hill, and I want to see if these are just too soft. So I'm going to keep at it with these tires. I'm going to try running these in the other direction and see if it makes a difference. I won't make a video on that unless it makes a difference. If it makes a difference, I'll do a video on it. If it really doesn't, then I'm not going to bother. But then I will get some reds, and we'll try some different things with compound differences and insert differences, and we'll see where they stand. As of right now, I give them a meh. They're not terrible. They could be worse, but they're not as good as a Duratrax Fossil, and a Duratrax Fossil is good but not great. So take that how you will. See you next time.